What's up, family? Shout out to the ladder. Shout out to my people. Shout out to Crew Excellence. It is your host, Justin Strickland, and I'm back with another banger. I hope like Nate does special effects or something. We gonna hop into the episode today. It is March. That means it is Women's History Month. So I'm just talking about some leaders who have done some incredible things in history, and just want to celebrate them. So if you stay to the end, I'm gonna tell you how we can learn from all three of them, and what different leadership principles that you can use today where you can lead in a way that honors their legacy. Before we get into all that, I want to make sure you like, share, and subscribe the video. It just helps us so much. We just crossed over the 400 subscriber mark, which I'm super excited. The next goal is 500 subs. So if you want to help us get to 500 subs, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. I would definitely appreciate that. Now, the Ladder Podcast, why does it exist? It exists because I believe that you're a leader, because I believe that you have the opportunity to grow as a leader and to be someone that can not only impact themselves, their community, but that's someone that can impact the world. And you can only do that as an excellent leader. And the Ladder is all about pouring into that skill, developing that talent, developing that responsibility so that you can be who you dream of being, and that everyone else can benefit from it. And so if that's you, then you're in the right place. And I just want to say thank you for hanging out with us for a little minute today. All right, let's jump into it. I got 3 women in history that I want to talk about, teach about, and then I'm going to give you just a tidbit on each of them, like what are something we can learn from them that we can use today. So the first one is Mary Eliza Mahoney. This is someone you may not have heard of, but she's pretty dope. She was the first Black person, woman or man with a professional nursing degree. And so she was born to freed slaves on the East Coast. And when she was a teenager, she was like, man, I really want to help people. I want to be in healthcare. And so she worked at a hospital. And at the hospital, it was kind of cool. It was for women and children. And it had an all-women staff as far as the doctors, and so she worked there and she was learning there. But at the time, there was no schools that would accept Black women into their school for nursing. And so when she worked there as different roles, but just because she wanted to be around healthcare, and then when she was 33. They opened up a school. She ended up going to the school. They said 44 people enrolled. Only 4 people graduated because of how hard it was. And she made it. And she, like I said, she was the first Black person to receive a professional nursing degree. And after getting her nursing degree, instead of going into nursing as far as the public sector, she actually started a private service. And so people would call her out, and she was doing house calls to different people all up and down the East Coast as a nurse. So people trusted her to come into their homes. And she eventually even became the director of the Howard Orphanage Asylum in New York. And so these things are pretty incredible. When I think about Mary Eliza Mahoney and the odds that would have been against her at the time, she was able to do something that most people would have given up on, right? Going back to school at 33 for a lot of people seems late, but for her was right on time. And I think the leadership lesson that we can learn from her historical life is it's never too late to do something you've always wanted to do. I always love the stats or the facts about how old people were when they started this business or started that business or chased that dream. You never age out of doing what you love to do. You never age out of chasing something you've always wanted to chase. And so I tell you that it's not too late to go back to school. It's not too late to get that degree. It's not too late to start that business or chase that opportunity. We can learn from Mary Eliza Mahoney, who did not get her nursing degree until she was 33, something she had wanted to do since she was a teenager, that it's never too late to chase what you know you could be good at and chase something that you know will impact others. And so she not only got her degree, but she used it to help heal others, and then eventually started an orphanage in for Black kids in New York. She used her heart for people to impact a whole community. And that's what chasing your dream can do. That's what not giving up on your purpose can do, is it will unlock opportunities not only for yourself, but for those that benefit from you saying yes. And so Mary Eliza Mahoney, look her up some more. She was the first black person with a professional nursing degree in America. She is dope. All right. Second person, you may have heard of this person, you might not have. I remember she was definitely, when I was growing up, one of the people that we always talked about during Black History Month, but I think it's cool to talk about her during Women's History Month, and that's Bessie Coleman. Bessie Coleman, you may have heard her name. She was the first black woman to earn a pilot's license. Her story is super dope. So she wanted to be a pilot. But in America, they told her no. They said, we're not accepting no black women into pilot school. So she taught herself French so that she could go to France and become a pilot. So she self-taught herself French, got on a plane, flew to France, went to pilot school in France, and became the first black woman in the world to have a pilot's license. And her goal was to come back and start a pilot school for African Americans, but she actually became known for pretty quickly for her aerial stunts and parachuting. And so she would do these like shows and then jump out the plane and land safely. It was pretty incredible, her ability to do some things with planes that a lot of people just couldn't do. And so she went on a barnstorming career. And what barnstorming is, it's a really old term. It's basically when you go on tour. And so Bessie Coleman went on tour around the country doing these shows and earned a lot of money and earned a lot of fame as this just daredevil of a woman who was able to just accomplish things that most people dreamed of. And it was one of those things where her talent and her ability outpaced a lot of people who were able to go to the school she couldn't, right? A lot of the pilots that were able to go to school in America were not able to do tricks or stunts or parachute or any of those things. Yet, even though she was more talented, they still told her no because of racism, right? And so what I love about Bessie is she did not let that stop her. I think today, one of the things we can learn from people like Bessie Coleman is there may be barriers to entry that aren't fair, that only exist because people in power don't like people like you, whether it be people that are poor or are black or native or old or tall or wear glasses, whatever their prejudice may be, and they think they have this power, and they really don't. They really don't. They have power. They have power to stop you from doing something there or doing something with them, but they don't have power to stop you from doing it, period. And that's what Bessie Coleman kind of illuminates is just because one door closes doesn't mean you can't kick the door down somewhere else. And that's what she did, is she self-taught herself French. And if you ever have tried to learn another language, you know how hard it is to learn when you have a real teacher. So even the idea that you could self-teach yourself a language, you know how difficult that could be. And yet she didn't say, it's too hard, I give up. If only I could go to pilot school, I would be who I'm supposed to be. But because they racist, I guess I'll never know. She was like, man, in France, they be letting anybody do whatever, so I'm going to learn French and go over there and do it. And that's kind of the attitude that we have to have as leaders, is if it's something that we know we want to do or can do, we got to find a way to get it done. We can't settle for excuses. We can't settle for no's. We got to find a way to get it done, because that's what leaders do. And Bessie Coleman set this bar and made it and set a precedent that blacks could be pilots, and that black women could be pilots. And even though in America that was not, they were not allowing that to happen, America's not the only place. I think we forget that. America is not the only place where you could be great. And so Bessie Coleman went to France, got her degree, got her license, and came back and showed America just how great she is and how the world recognized her as such. And so the last person I want to talk to you about is Althea Gibson. Althea Gibson was the first black tennis player to win Wimbledon, to win the French Open, and to be the #1 ranked player in tennis. Her story is super cool. She was born in South Carolina, but then moved to New York, and she was a troubled youth. So shout out to all my educators who be dealing with these bad kids. Let this story about Althea Gibson encourage you. So she was bad. She talks about it all the time. Like, she hated school. She was always fighting, and apparently she was really good at fighting, and so she didn't go to school often. And there was a a program of the PAL, Police Athletic League in New York, where some officers saw her size. She was almost 6 foot when she was like 14, 15. And they was like, man, you should play tennis. And so they got her into tennis, and she had a terrible attitude. Which I think is hilarious. And so, like, the people liked her talent, but they was like, man, her attitude really wasn't good. And so she eventually ended up finding some coaches in the South, and she moved to the South to train full time, working on her attitude, working on her game. And at the time, of course, right, blacks couldn't play in the National Tennis Association that the white people played in. So they had their own association. And after training in the South, she went on to win 10 straight national championships in the Black Tennis Association called the ATA. So winning 10 straight anything is amazing. But people started to feel like, maybe she could beat some of the white players that in their eyes were better. And right on the cusp of kind of Jackie Robinson, and then a black man was given a chance to play in a tennis association. I want to say, what do they call tennis? It's not the match is the individual event. That's what it is. Tennis event. And so they was like, hey, we think Althea should be, you know what I'm saying? You bring her over so she can make something happen. And the first few years, it was interesting because she had some success, but not the success that black media or black people wanted her to have. They wanted her to just go dominate. But these spaces were very antagonistic towards her. You can imagine her being the only black player, and a lot of people, for some reason, are offended by blackness. It is a strange thing. I've been seeing this video. I'm about to go on a tangent just for a little bit, but I've been seeing these videos online on Instagram where they are showing news recordings from integration, and it's all these just regular white people who are offended that black kids could go to their schools. And they're doing all types of things like throwing bricks at school buses and protesting against children coming to school in their neighborhood. And it's wild that was a thing. And that a lot of these people, like I just watched something from the other day, it was from like 1975. Like these people are alive that really believe that black people come to their school was offensive enough for them to not go to work and to protest on the streets about it. And so Althea Gibson is playing tennis in this time. And so there was slurs and chants against her. And a lot of reporters said there's an anti-Gibson atmosphere. And so the black media kind of just didn't really give her any support in that matter. And they actually kind of, the Jet magazine called her a failure. And it's not only because of her play, though. She was a very soft-spoken person, which was very different than who she was as a teen. But as an adult, she just kind of wanted to play tennis. And one of the pressures of being a black athlete that can be extremely difficult and sometimes unfair is that you're expected to use your platform to speak out on black issues. And that could be a difficult place to be when you don't feel like you're educated on those issues, when you don't feel like you are protected to speak about those issues. Like there are some black athletes who have strong opinions, but they like, man, I'm not that good. And so if I speak out, I'm the 10th man on this NBA team. If I say what I believe, I might get cut, and then that's it. My livelihood's over, which I think is a cost. And some people are much more ready to count that cost than others. And so black media kind of chewed her up a little bit. But one thing I love about Althea Gibson is she didn't stop. And so although she didn't find success right away and she had to work at it, she won the French Nationals, first black person to do that. She won Wimbledon in London, first black person to do that. She had a parade here after she won Wimbledon. She was only the second black person to have a parade in America after Jesse Owens, right? And then she went on to, after winning the U.S. National Championship, to become the #1 tennis player in the world. Out of all the scrutiny, all the pressure, she was still able to accomplish a goal that no one had ever done before. And so what I want us to take from Althea Gibson's story is that just because nobody has done it and just because other people judge your process doesn't mean you can't do it and doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep trying. When it's something is new, it is very easy to criticize. I think about iPhones. If you look up when iPhones first came out, people was like, man, this is dumb. Nobody want no computer in their hand. Like, this is stupid. Nobody's gonna buy this. And now we live in a world where people are literally glued to these devices, right? You might be watching the pod on your iPhone. When it was new, it was criticized and very easy to criticize. Now that it is a $1 billion company, liquid, by the way, it is much harder to criticize. And so I would say for you, one thing that you could take away, leader, is just commit to your process. If it's something that you think can work, even if somebody's never done it before, never done it that way before, commit to your process and see it through. Because just because it's new doesn't mean it won't work. And I believe that with hard work, discipline, and time, a lot of things are possible. Okay? So thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. Drop a woman that you would like to honor since it's Women's History Month. Drop it in the comments. Who's somebody that you look up to, whether it be somebody that you are know personally or just somebody in history that you think would be dope to honor during Women's History Month. I would love to hear what you all got. Until next time, I'll be honoring Black women because that's just what I do every day. I love y'all, man. And until next time, it's Justin Strickland of The Ladder. I'm out of here, man. Peace.